To change materials on the outside of a scene, just like on the inside of the building, you need to come down here to Materials and make sure that Materials has been selected. Then, if you start to move your mouse around the inside of the scene, you'll start to notice all those objects that were imported in from your design software can then be highlighted so that you can change the materials of them. For this example, let's start by selecting on some of this dark wood that's up here, this structure wood. Then let's go here to outdoor materials and take a look at what we have available for us in our outdoor materials. There's plasters, different kinds of metals, concrete, stone, woods. So we could choose any of these. And ultimately, we will be choosing wood, which is right here. You don't have to go to this next tab, but I wanted to show it to you. If we did go to indoor, there's also the indoor materials here for wood. Sometimes that could work really well if you were trying to do the materials for maybe a deck that's going outside. Really, indoor and outdoor materials, they try to categorize them the best way that they can, but they can be used either inside or outside of the building. So just choose a material that works best for you. But I usually go to the tab that's related to where I'm at because it's the most likely to have the material that I need. So now I'm going to come over here to wood and select on wood. And we can see that there's a wide variety of different kinds of wood that we could choose from. Now, much like on the inside of the building, I really don't care which wood material that you decide to select. If I click on this wood 028, we can start to see that the wood is all starting to get darker. It's a very dark, rich colored wood. If I wanted it to be bright, I could choose this wood 032 and continue that theme across my scene. You go ahead and choose any of the different kinds of materials that you want, and you can just flip through the pages, find materials that you want. If you're not quite sure which one that you want, you can just click, see if you like the look of it. And once you finally find the one that you like, come down here to the check mark and click on Save Changes. You'll then see that that is now the material that's being used in this scene. Now I'd like to continue this pattern on. For me, I want this material to be across the front of my building. So I want to make sure that each one of these is also that same material. So to accomplish that, I'll select on them, come back here to outdoor, go back to wood, then go find that material again. In my case, it was the wood 028. Click on it, and now we can see that that material has now been applied to each one of those. I'm going to click on Save Changes. We can see that material's been applied there. I'm also going to do it to each one of these wood boards that's holding up the railings. So I'm going to select on that wood. You get the idea. You repeat the process, continuing to select the material that you want in order to generate the look that you want for your scene. Finally, I need to make a decision. Do I want each of these railings to be transparent the way that we're looking at it here? Or do I want it to also be a material that maybe somehow matches up with the wood or maybe has a slightly different look than what the rest of this wood pattern has? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is come down here to Save Changes in order to save that to the scene. Next, we can see that this actually isn't supposed to be clear, even though it kind of looks like it is. This is actually a Douglas fir material. So what I'm going to do is I am going to change this material. So I'm going to select on this guardrail. We come over here. And what's interesting is even though when I was highlighting it, it was saying this is a wood Douglas fir, it's actually registering as being an interior glass material. Now, I'm not exactly sure why it does that sometimes, but I did want to point it out that sometimes it will give you a different material designation than what it actually is. What you can do in this case is that you can either leave it as this glass, that's perfectly fine, or you can change it to be some sort of other material. By the way, this interior glass, as you can see here, was actually originally an indoor material, and they selected that for the outside. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this into an outdoor material. I like the fact that it's wood, so I'll go in that direction. I do think, though, that I want it to be a fairly light colored material, so I'll try maybe this wood 11. That's too much, so I'm going to try a different one instead. You get the idea. And even if it is something like a wood floor, it doesn't really matter as long as it provides you the overall look that you're looking for. In my case, I think that I may choose on something like one of these darker, now that I'm looking at it, like wood siding, and see the effect that that provides us in the scene. I'm going to click on Save Changes and take a look at how that material now looks on this scene. Honestly, I don't mind it too much. You might choose to make it glass, whatever material that you want, but you can do that throughout the rest of the scene as well. May it be the grass, the sidewalks, whatever.